This video I'll be talking about the Great Conjunction, Winter Solstice, and Solar Eclipse. Hey loves, welcome back to my channel. If you're a subscriber, thank you so much for watching. And if you're new to my channel, my name is Nicole. I'm a wellness coach, Reiki healer, and intuitive guide. So let's get into it. Everyone's been talking about the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, the solar eclipse, and the winter solstice. So I decided to make this video as kind of like a one-stop shop for all the information you'll need on these topics. So basically, it covers from December 14th to December 21st of what's going to be happening in the planet, why it's going to be happening, how is it going to affect you. Let's get into it. So December 14th, oh, and I'll be looking down because I wanted to give you guys as much information as possible so that it truly is like one or at least a few of the videos you have to watch if you want to get information and you're not bogged down, because again, there's so much information, and I think it's important that people kind of become channels or take information and really just condense it so that it's easier for people who are on the go or don't have the energy to do a deep dive into topics, that they could get it. So let's start with December 14th, the total solar eclipse. So on December 14th, when you have a total, we're going to have a total solar eclipse. And when you have a total solar eclipse, what happens is you get the Earth aligned perfectly with the sun and the moon. And when that happens, we almost have like a shadow period, a dark period. This is when we have access to inner truth. We can have our intentions magnified. It's a beautiful period of tapping into like our moon energy or that esoteric energy, that shadow work, and doing the deep work that needs to be done in order to understand what do we want to do. And then once we get that, this is the perfect time to magnify that energy. So it's a gateway to another portal that opens on December 21st. And this is when Jupiter and Saturn connect, they conjunct or meet. So conjunction is really just another word of saying meet, come together. And they will meet in Aquarius. And if you are into astrology, Aquarius is the sign literally for all humanity. It's the sign of technology. It's the sign of community. It's the sign of rebellion. It's the sign of being unique and different and speaking out about it. It's the sign of activism. So having these planets meet in this very innovative, revolutionary placement, we can expect great change. So the Great Awakening of humanity leads to the dawn of the age of Aquarius, and that is what is being ushered in through the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction. On December 21st, we will enter the dawn of the age of Aquarius, and I want to specify that because many people hear dawn and they assume, many people hear the age of Aquarius and think that we are already there. So in order to explain that, I will backtrack, and that's when I'll go deeper into conjunctions and what they do and the eclipse and all these things. The dawn of the age of Aquarius is a time when new information comes in, but we also can look at old information differently. And what's really cool is we see both of these things happening. So not only are we getting a bunch of new information, but we are looking at old information. Many healers and sages and oracles are talking about Akashic records and connecting with your ancestors. And these are old traditions. These are old ways of connecting to spirit and source that are now coming back and kind of taking the forefront in what mindfulness, wellness, and spirituality look in the world. And I think it's such a beautiful thing that this is happening. So again, we have the total solar eclipse, which is when Earth, the sun, and the moon are aligned so that it's a complete eclipse of the sun. And that leads to the energy of the Great Awakening, or the portal opening December 24th that people talk about. So when I say the word portal, I'm not necessarily referring to a physical portal, but again, I am allowing for the world to do its thing because we live in a huge universe and I think it's capable of opening up portals. But what I will say, what it truly is our inner portal. It's our shift in consciousness. It's our understanding of the world in a very new way and wanting to use the technologies of the present, using the information and the understanding of indigenous practices of the past, and also being open to the ideas of the future is what is really going to help us shift into the actual age of Aquarius, which will appear about 130 years from now is when we are in the age of Aquarius. We are technically still in the age of Pisces, but our Saturn is in Aquarius, and I will go into that because that can be kind of confusing, which is why I think a lot of people feel like because Saturn's in Aquarius, this now means that we're in the age of Aquarius. Two different things. So, what is the Great Conjunction? Why is this considered the Great Conjunction compared to other conjunctions? Planets meet every day. They be bopping, holding hands. Let me stop. I was reaching with that. But planets do conjunct every day. This is normal. But why this is so special is because the last time Jupiter and Saturn conjuncted was May of 2000. So that's one thing. So you have to think about where you were and who you were, what you were doing, who you were around. For me in 2000, I was a child. I'm 29. So if I go back to that time period when Jupiter and Saturn conjuncted, I might see similar patterns in my life during this upcoming conjunction. Or where it falls in my natal chart, it might show a similarity, simply put. So let's move on. The conjunction of powerful planets come at times of growth. They are energies coming together. So you have the energy of Saturn, which is the planet of limitations, restrictions, lessons, karma, traditional structures. And then you have the energy of Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Jupiter is also the planet of excess. It's the planet of philosophy. Jupiter is the ruling planet of Sagittarius. And if you understand Sagittarius, then maybe you'll have a better understanding of like the characteristics of Jupiter. So with that being said, Jupiter and Saturn almost have like opposing energies. And then they're in Aquarius, which is like super rebellious. So if you think about all these different energies and where they're falling, you just know that it's going to be a very impactful time. So now let's look into the winter solstice, because December 21st is when the conjunction happens. It also is the day the winter solstice happens. So that's another energy we need to look at. What is the winter solstice? So the winter solstice is when the sun is traveling its shortest path across the sky, which is why it's the day that we have the least amount of daylight and the longest days. And that happens until spring, when it goes backward and our days get shorter. Our days get longer and our nights get shorter again. So with all of this happening, where do we fit in, right? This is a lot of energy, a lot of significant energy and shifts that are happening. So what I decided to do is not just making this like an informal video, but I also wanted to add some spiritual guidance. Like, what could we do during this crazy time? And this morning I pulled the card, the Hermit. And as you see, the Hermit is kind of like on its own path, the moon energy. So this introspective time, emotional time, a time to do inner work. And sometimes people see the Hermit card and they assume, okay, the Hermit means loneliness. I'm going to be alone. I'm going to be this. I'm going to be that. But the Hermit is actually such a beautiful card because usually out of the journey of the Hermit comes where they were, the place, the destination. The Hermit's like traveling, but this is not a physical travel. This is like a spiritual journey or an emotional journey or a wellness journey. So during this time of the conjunction, with all these energies flying around us, it's so important to take time to sort out our feelings, our expectations, our fears. What do we expect? What are we leaving in this period, this kind of like dark period that comes at the end of each year? What are we leaving here, and what are we taking with us? This is the time to look at that. And again, these periods, you might not see this video before the conjunction, but this might be a message to take time alone, be present with your thoughts, and listen to your inner guidance, truly, because again, we're in a period of structures falling, systems that have been in place for many years, hundreds of years, ideas and belief systems that have been in place around gender, around sex, around race. They are falling, and it's up to us to allow the fall to happen and do the work, because again, we've grown up in these societies that had these limiting beliefs, and as these structures are falling, we have to be okay to let go, because if you're not okay to let go, you're gonna fall with the structures. If you're trying to still be racist in 2020, bro, it's slow for you. It's slow. Like, it's not a thing anymore. I honestly feel like that hate that people can have for each other because something as simple as the color of their skin, or something as simple as, I don't know who they may be sleeping with, it's so trivial, and it's really blocking humanity from doing the work that we're here to do, and being a part of a beautiful time in history where we see people loving each other and coming together, because I do believe that's possible, but it's not possible until we change and work on ourselves on an individual level. So the last time a great conjunction has happened that has been this close in terms of degrees from each other is 800 years. So not only are these planets meeting, but they're meeting in a way they haven't met in 800 years. The last time they met in this way was March of 1226. 1226. We're in 2020, so very long time. And we have to think about what was happening at that time and what's happening now. Well, one of the things that was happening at that time was Genghis Khan was going around conquering places. So we have this idea of like politics and government and structures and lands and conquering, whether it's people trying to conquer and control people, as we see there is kind of like a battle, but we also see people trying to change their ideals, change their belief systems, and allow their mind to be awakened or open from these belief systems that were conquering them, to be honest. More on the Hermit energy. It's honoring yourself. It's a time for introspection. It's a time for healing. It's a time for deep esoteric study. So many people are finding information on astrology, on human design. For me, human design has been life-changing, and for it, to me, is deep esoteric study of yourself. It's a combination of Kabbalah, I Ching, the chakra system, and I feel like I'm forgetting one. Kabbalah, I Ching, the chakra system, and astrology. So because of that, I feel like my deep study of it has taught me so much about myself. especially when it comes to how I should move in the world through the way I work. I think that's so important because working is not looking like what it used to. Before, we used to work in offices. We were all this very kind of stuck in this 9 to 5 structure. And now we're working in a way where you can work from home. I mean, if I want to, I could hit a bong and work. Like, our structures are changing, and if anything, it's beneficial, and it's best for us to use that time to do the deep study and the deep dive that we need to do into the things that we truly love. Because what I think the pandemic has taught most of us, or many of us, is that life is short. It's so important to do what you love. It's so important to lead a personal practice of loving on yourself, taking care of yourself, and being present, because we don't know what the next day brings. And if we are worried about it, we're not living in the moment now. So focusing on being present, studying, learning, deep diving. How will this affect you? Well, if we are all made up of stardust, right? And 2 of the largest planets in our known solar system, and I say known because the universe is huge, the Milky Way galaxy is huge, and it's just one of many galaxies, millions, billions. Like, planet is infinite, which is such a beautiful thing. So if 2 of the known planets in our largest known planets in our solar system are conjuncting in this way and emerging in the night sky, and we are all made up of the stuff that's in this earth, we are going to be impacted. We're mostly water, and then other than that, we're minerals and earth stuff. So keeping that in mind, we are highly impacted by our environments and what's happening in the sky. And this has been proving time and time again. The fact that astrologers have been able to prove that, or not prove, I should say, predict that Donald Trump was going to have COVID, or at least lie and say he had COVID, because we don't know. But astrologers were able to predict that. They were able to predict the peaks. If you notice, every time Jupiter and Pluto conjuncted, we had peaks in the death rate and surge in COVID cases throughout the world. We noticed this is it February or March? We noticed this again around the June-July period, and then we noticed this again November. So, and it's continuing to peak. Pluto, the planet of death, the planet of transformation, the planet of disease and illness. Then we have, on the other end, Jupiter, the planet of expansion, only expanding the disease. So now we have a pandemic. And to know that astrology was able to predict that, I think it is important to look at the moon, look at the stars, ground yourselves, and have an understanding of like what this world is trying to tell us on a daily basis. Next thing. Oh, and this is just a thought. I wrote this down because I feel like it's so important. I said, there's nothing to worry about, only things to look forward to. And I say that because, again, we are living through a pandemic. Many of us are without jobs. Many of us are wondering where our next paycheck's coming from, if there's going to be another stimulus package if you're in the United States. And even if you're in countries worldwide, how is my country or how is my government, the one that I pay into, taking care of me? Know that, again, things around us are constantly shifting and changing, but our inner verse can be constant. If you look at the ascended masters like Buddha, if you look at Yogananda, it was all about controlling the inner verse. If you look at Jesus with prayer, it was about controlling our inner verse, and in this way we can impact our outer verse. We are still at the end of the age of Pisces, and I'll bring that up briefly because Jesus is an ascended master that came up during the age of Pisces. And the age of Pisces, if you think about Pisces, about being fishers of men, healing work, ministry, Jesus was touching people and healing them. We're still in that age. So the healing work is still being done. The inner work is still being done in order to prepare ourselves for the true age of Aquarius, when we have to be prepared to handle uprisings and shifts and technology that we've never seen, and maybe life forms that we've never seen. The preparation is now. So some thoughts that I have as like takeaways during this time is it's important to accept the limitations of Saturn while allowing the expansions of our minds through Jupiter. So I think that's why this period can feel so conflicted, because we are accepting we are only human. We do need a spiritual practice. We aren't these sentient beings that could run around and be motors all day, going. We are here to teach each other how to love each other. We are here to be far more than just a person who masters something and does it for 50 years and die. We're here to live. And I think that this period is showing us that we truly are here to live, and we can do that, but it requires us shifting the world that we've lived in. Another thing is to be open to your own guidance and your own intuition, knowing that there are so many people, there's so much information out here in this dawn of the age of Aquarius and conjunction happening in Aquarius. So many people telling their message, sharing their stories. I hope that even you understand when it comes to me, this is just me sharing my message and telling my story. It's so important to look at messages as confirmation, but not as like the way, the truth, and the light, unless it truly resonates with you. And I'll leave it at that. I think that literally says it all there. The internal shift is happening first, and as we shift internally, as I mentioned, we'll see the external shift. And it's realizing that we are individually needing to do the moral work to create a more humanist-based society, and understanding that that's what we're shifting to. It's about small businesses. It's about supporting your friend. It's about loving on your neighbor. It's about helping on a community level. It's about activism work. These are the things that will lead to the macro shifts that we want to see. So doing things on a micro level, leading to a macro shift. Another thought, spirituality and personal ascension is happening, and as a collective, we are the change that we want to see. We are the new leaders, and understanding your truth, understanding who you are, knowing that you have to be strong in your authentic voice at this time, because so many people are pushing their opinions and their belief systems. We have the internet. Shoot, I have the internet. I'm literally sharing my belief system. So just as I am sharing my belief system, know that every time you consume information, someone is sharing a belief on you, or is imprinting their belief on you. And it's up to you to receive it, and it's up to you to reject it. But if you're not clear in what you're receiving or what you're rejecting, then you're going to be like, why does it feel like I don't know which way I'm going? I kid you not, I've been clearing my follower list because I really want to be intentional about who I am following and what I am seeing on a day-to-day basis, on a minute basis, on an hourly basis. We are empaths. And if you're an empath, then you understand you are so sensitive to your environment. And it's a battle of, do I want to be the vibration and frequency and aura, or do I want someone to put their frequency, vibration, aura onto me? If you are standing strong in who you are if you are presenting your message to the world, it might not be something as intense as this. Your message could be that you make beautiful music and you just want people to feel good and you want people to feel confident. But give that message, share it with the world. Don't sing in your shower anymore. Like, now is the time to create, because people need that love, people need that light. Have grace for yourself for the things that you left behind. So we are shifting, we are stepping into a new consciousness. And what that means, leaving the belief systems that we want to hold on to so badly in the past, and understanding that in order to create the things we want to see, we have to be that very thing. I can't say I want to see healing and I'm not a healer, and I'm not trying to heal and doing the inner work. So, perfect example of how do I do the thing that I want to say I want people to do, or I want people to understand or see. Like, you are a reflection. You're a reflection of the other person. So you can be the highest reflection of them, or you could be the lowest vibration of them. But if you have that choice every single day, I say choose wisely. So we might be grieving the things that are vices that we've liked, but now we realize we don't align with either. And that's okay. I think what's most important is understanding the need to let it go, because you don't even enjoy it like you used to. For me in particular, it's my relationship with food. Like, certain foods that I used to love as a kid or growing up, or even as of like 6 months ago, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to eat that, because I don't even like how it's going to make me feel. And there's moments now where I get tempted to have it, or I'm like, I think I kind of want that. And then I realize I don't. So if you're going through that, it's okay. You're changing, you're ascending, you're evolving, and it's okay to not want to eat that bad thing. Let's see. And lastly, I wanted to talk about the importance of writing down your thoughts, especially during a time of hermit mode. It's so important to read books, write down thoughts, gain understanding from the source, because there's so much information online. Go seek out trusted people that you know are actually doing the research before they speak, or go to books that you trust or people that you trust with teaching you new information. And with that being said, know that you are also ascending, and you are also shifting and becoming an evolved person. And while you're going through that process, you might be writing the very things that people are reading 1,000 years from now. So you may very well be an ascended master. You may have a spiritual path. You might be someone who is also here to share your knowledge, teach people, as well as learn, and be like a channel. You learn things and you share them. And if you feel that way, it's even more important to continue learning and writing and remembering the things that you're being taught, because we don't know what limitations are going to look like on the internet. We don't know if, we know there's censorship. We know there's been talks about putting costs to certain sites, and we already see certain sites have gone the subscription service route. But what we do know is that the oldest way of passing information is the oracle. It's being able to write things down. It's being able to remember them and pass your memories on. And we get to do that at this time. Like, information could be taken away from us. You can put a charge on what people can learn. But once you learn that information, no one can take it away from you. The most powerful thing you have is your mind, and use it more than ever now. We are in an age where it's being appreciated. Your mind is being appreciated. People are making more money than ever with the power of this. Technology, everything is not even done in a physical space. Things are being done through the internet. in abstract ways that you haven't seen before. So take advantage of that. How can I also put myself on the internet? How can I expand? How can I build a platform? How can I share as you learn? And how can I be a gatekeeper of information so that I know what I'm teaching and what I'm sharing is truth? Again, with that, I do want to talk about too my sacred woman journey. I feel like, and I'm talking about it because it goes along with being mindful of your words. It goes along with taking down sacred text. It's so important to resonate with something. And for me, during my sacred woman journey, and I'm still in it, it ends around the winter solstice, or actually on the winter solstice. My sacred woman journey has been beautiful. I don't think I'd be on YouTube if it wasn't for my journey. I don't think that I would have healed my relationship with food and still be open to learning and changing and being curious about how can I be better about what I put in my body, how can I be better about the music I take in, the people I speak to. It's been life-changing, and because of that, like you choose like a Kemetic god, an Egyptian god that you resonate with, because they go as far back with sacred woman. The sacred woman journey, if you're familiar with Queen Afua, you go as far back as like Kemetic, ancient Egyptian times. You get initiated and you go through rites of passage, which you decide which gateway within sacred woman you resonate the most with. And I realized the gateway I resonated the most with, and that has kind of been where I feel like most of my sacred woman journey has been spent, is within the gateway of Tahuti, sacred word. I wanted to be mindful of what I was saying, what I was thinking. Someone who suffers with anxiety, I think it's super important to mind the words in your head, because that's what comes out your mouth. And not all the time do I want to say high vibrational things, but being a gatekeeper of sacred word, realizing my connection to that spirit or that energy made me more mindful of what I say, when I say it, and how I say it, and also the importance of silence. If we spend time in silence, we can truly understand what we're saying and why we're saying it, which is really important. Like, we could talk all day, but why? So yes, that is what I will be initiated into, sacred word. And I think Sacred Woman's beautiful because it is a rite of passage. When you go through that journey, you are shifting your consciousness, and you're actively connecting with women who are also shifting their consciousness and their understanding. I think Queen Afua is opening or has also like a sacred man program, which I think is beautiful. I think even though we feel this like divine feminine energy and this rise of the divine feminine, and men realizing like maybe we don't know how to do this, and realizing the importance of the yin to their yang, we also see that men are doing the inner work more likely now than they had in the past. And I think it's wonderful because that's why we're seeing like beautiful unions and connections and people sharing this like sacred and divine love with each other. We're seeing more of this like, I can be successful and I can have material things, but I can also value compassion and love and empathy. So the world is going in a beautiful place, and I think the most important thing during this time is to take time for yourself, to get grounded. Getting grounded could mean digging your feet in the sand and connecting, or the dirt, or cement, wherever you live. But digging your feet really into the ground, the earth, and connecting with it, and listening to it, and being still enough to do it. And with that, you will be able to find time to write and find time to meditate. I highly recommend, and I have some books here that I would love to share for people who are interested in writing their thoughts and being mindful of this introspective time when they're like, you know what, I do want to write, I do want to plan, I do want to be more organized and more structured, you know? So I will also put the Instagram handles of both of these brands and businesses and the website. But this one is my notebook that I love writing in. And I think when you have a book that you really love writing in, you write more. And I found this and I was like, wow, it connects to me. I feel like I'm seeing nature. I have the ancestors. And then it's like, kind of like reminds me of myself. It's a woman, my color, by water, in nature, grounding. And in this book, I write many of my thoughts. I write as you noticed, I wrote what I wanted to speak about because I wanted it to be clear and I didn't want to forget anything. I wrote my IG Live conversations I have on my Instagram channel or Instagram page. And I also use, and this book actually is by Conundrum Crafts, and she makes these beautiful books. I love that it's easy to travel with, it's small, it's light. I love the finish of it. It doesn't get dirty. It really is a good like hold-up book if you want something to travel with. And then my dear friend came out with a planner, Plan Her. And I never use the planner, so trust me when I say if I'm recommending this, it's because I genuinely have seen the difference it's made in my life. What I love about her planner is that it's undated. So you could put the date, like I wrote some goals. So a big goal of mine is to hit 100 subscribers. So if you like, comment, share, subscribe, I would appreciate it. And it's only because I really want a URL, but it's also a reminder that, you know, I can connect with people, I can build a community, and most importantly, align with other people who want to grow and evolve and be great. And you'll laugh into. If you know that joke, I love you. Also, I have some monthly notes. I wrote, you know, I wanted YouTube videos done, yoga. I made an IG filter, which you can check out, called Higher Self on Instagram. So if you go to my Instagram handle with Love Cole, you'll notice that there are little icons across the page for like IG lives to see posts. You can see grid style, you can see tags. There's one for a filter and it looks like a smiley face with a like plus signs in it. Click that and you can see my filter. You can save the effect. It's called Higher Self because again, I know that we are stepping into this new era. And I want people to remember to vibrate higher daily, to ground themselves, to love each other, and to be introspective. So I talked a little bit about the Hermit, but I did want to leave you with the message in the book about the Hermit. And I am going to be reading from the True Heart Intuitive Tarot because that's where my deck is from. And I love Rachel True. I grew up watching her. And honestly, I've never had a tarot deck that I feel like I connected to as quickly as this one. This tarot deck, the first card that fell out was the Star card. And I don't know if you see my rings, but I have 2 star rings. One is from Local Eclectic, this one. And this one is from Majuri, 2 brands that I really love. And then I also, random, but I wear a throat chakra, like what is this? I think this is called lapis agate or a blue agate ring. So wear rings that resonate with you. Keep the things that you love around you. So when I saw the star energy, the star card, when I saw the star card come out, I was like, oh my God, like this deck is for me. And then the Hermit, and I feel like I'm literally in hermit mode. But Let me read it real quick. She gives so much information. In this book, she also puts her own experiences, which I love. I always love a story, so. To know that as you're studying tarot and you're working off your intuition and then also connecting with someone who you know has like stories and has been doing this, it's nice to like build your reservoir of information. So not only do you have what the cards traditionally mean, you have her experiences, and then you have your own intuition and your own connection when you pull them. Hermit. So I love that the way this book is written, she does a high vibe and low vibe. High vibe, introspection, solitude, patience, being patient, not necessarily being anxious about the things we don't know yet, but being patient and waiting for things to come into fruition. Being a mentor, being a spiritual guide, being on a spiritual quest, going through a growth phase, or it could be like a midlife passage. I think it's really cool that I'm gonna get distracted, but I think it's really cool that my mom is going through a Saturn return while I'm going through a Saturn return, and I just came to that realization. So the Hermit is not like just for when you're young or going through a period of solitude or singleness. You can be married and be in a hermit stage. You can be older and already have gone through like the wisdom of it all, but might need another period of seclusion because you have to gain greater understanding of your own past experiences. The low vibe, isolation, loneliness, stubbornness, narrow-mindedness, impatience, spiritual crisis, midlife crisis. And what I love, and this is why I wanted to bring this up, what's so beautiful about this, the only difference between the high vibe and the low vibe is perspective. Low vibe perspective, it's a spiritual crisis instead of a spiritual awakening. Low vibe, midlife crisis instead of middle passage. One is journeying through while the other is deciding to be stuck. And we are in a period where we have to journey through. We can't be stuck anymore. So, said a lot. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. Also, I have packed this video with so much information, so if you have to watch it again, or you can always know that it's here for you to come back and reference. I pray that you guys see the opportunity in this moment. It's a chance to be a newer, better, upgraded version of yourself, and it's up to you to step into that. So with this message, I'll say happy great conjunction. Saturn, Jupiter, in Aquarius, you're here to teach us our lessons. I'll say thank you for the lessons now, and I hope that we all look forward to this period of time as one that will be monumental and beautiful, like epic. Like, let's look at the positive side. Let's look at the things that we can do during this period. So, thank you, and I'll see you on my next video. You can find me on Instagram at WithLoveCole.